garden is all about flowers, and there's no better group of flowers than cottage garden plants, which will give you an abundance all year round if you plan properly. As an example of some very good plants you can plant in your cottage garden border: foxgloves. Lovely, strong, upright growing plants. Lots and lots of different colours now, and of course very good for the bees. Things like grasses can get mixed in. This one's stiper, which is a lovely tall growing grass, but you can mix them in some different foliage textures, different foliage that will move in the breeze and add interest. And as well as that, look for proper foliage plants, things like hostas. Lovely plants for the shade, so if you've got a heavy shaded part of the garden, these will do really well in damp ground, do really well around ponds. Not only attractive foliage, and of course there's some really nice variegated ones too, but also really good flowers later in the summer, lovely mauve flowers. Being container grown, these can be planted at any time of the year. But if you're going to be planting at any stage this time of the year, you need to be thinking about watering. They will need to be watered in well when you first plant, and then watering probably 3 times a week, and give a good soak every time you water until they are well established. And in a dry summer, that could be every week right the way through until the autumn. The other thing to make sure they perform well and keep on growing well, they'll produce more flowers and better coloured flowers, is to feed well as well. So use something like this Grow Greener organic feed once a week right the way through until the autumn. How many of you have heard of the Chelsea chop? And it's not anything to do with football. This is a technique that gets its name from something that you can do at around the time of the Chelsea Flower Show, which is usually the second half of May. And it's a way of spreading the flowering season over a longer period, or delaying the flowering season, also helping to make your plants more bushy and a slightly smaller, bit more under control. And it is literally as easy as using a nice sharp pair of shears and chopping your plant just like that. That way it will now bush up. You can do half the plant at a time, maybe allowing half to come into flower earlier, so you extend the flowering season with the second half, then flowering later. But it's a very good technique to improve your flowering season. This is a mixed border, very much like you might have in your own garden, already planted up with some plants, including shrubs, roses, clematis. I'm going to add in an extra plant today, a lovely digitalis Pam's Choice, very good for both us and the bees. Hole already dug. Always start off with a little bit of continuous release feed, small handful, don't overdo it, and that must go in the bottom of the hole so that it doesn't actually touch the roots. A little bit of peat-free compost. Always use a bit of compost in the hole, no matter what your soil. That always makes sure the plant gets a good start. Pop it out of the pot. Good root system. Just dig out a little bit of hole there. Firm it in. Not too rough. And then give it a really good soak. And it's actually the water which will then settle that compost around those roots even better. And you can add various more to this to increase your enjoyment, and hopefully that of the birds and the bees as well.